Welcome to Speak for Yourself from the crib. Jason Whitlock, Marcellus Wiley on Hump Day. Happy Wednesday, America. All right, we have a fantastic show planned for you. Mark Vancil, one of the stars of the Last Dance documentary about the Chicago Bulls 1998 team, and Michael Jordan. Vancil wrote a book about Jordan called Rare Air and worked on several others. We'll pull up at his crib. We'll also pull up with Mark Schlereth and TJ Houshmandzadeh, talk some NFL. We'll also ask, does anybody really want to see Mike Tyson fight again? I don't. But we'll start with the NBA and news reported by our very own Yahoo Sports' Chris Haynes, who reported that Chris Paul, the president of the Players Union, after the conversation Adam Silver had with players, Chris Paul arranged a conversation among himself and some of the biggest stars in the NBA, including LeBron James, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Kevin Durant, among others, Kawhi Leonard. And the players said they wanted to present a united front that they wanted to continue this season, if at all possible. All right, do you think the top stars in the league, Chris, we'll start with Chris. It was his report. Chris, do you think the top stars in the league are in agreement with the rest of the NBA players that they want to continue this season?
I wouldn't go that far, Jason. I would say that. I'll say that because, I've spoken to a lot of players who aren't currently in the playoff picture. And they feel like, if the season were to restart, just go ahead and start with the playoff teams, the top 8 in each conference. They don't feel like it benefits them at all to come back and be playing because obviously, during this time, during this period, the players who are high up, who are earning a substantial earning, they have the resources to stay in shape, meaning guys who have homes that have a full gym inside the homes, opposed to the other guys that's on minimum salaries who are staying in condos. I mean, Quinn Cook, for one example, he's running laps in his condo in the kitchen to try to stay in shape. And so this is not the united front on all players, but this definitely holds weight that the star players are saying this. And it happens to be most of those players that's the star players are in the playoff picture. And there's CBA implications as well, Whitlock, business decisions as well. But they, at the end of the 45-minute call, they felt, if the safety measures permitted, that it's in their best interest to get out there and play.
Well, I think that the top stars are reflecting what most are thinking, but not all. So I am with you there, Chris, in terms of trying to get the total picture. Let's be real about it. When you feel that pressure from the top, usually you get an insincere response from the bottom. In any situation, when it's strongly suggested or it's inferred or it's implied, whatever you want to look in terms of the read from the top, the ones with the status, the power, the cachet, then you ask everyone else and they usually fall in line. But this situation, so many things to unpack in terms of the teams that are not in playoff contention. They're like, basically, let's move on to next season, but we want to get paid. And then there are the guys who are thinking, hey, how's this going to affect the CBA next year? That population has to be respected. But all in all, there's going to be a lot of FOMO existing right now with a 25, 30-year-old professional basketball player. The fear of missing out of money, fear of missing out on the opportunity, the platform, playoff structure, all those things which they've been sitting there waiting for in full desire. Now it's an opportunity to cash in on that. And if they can't cash in on those opportunities, they know that they're going to take a hit in terms of compensation. So I put myself back in that mindset when I was young. And I'm thinking about a global pandemic, that how would it affect me? And I'm a young guy who probably will be asymptomatic. And if not, then I won't be in dire situation. Talk to Kevin Durant, Rudy Gobert, Donovan Mitchell. And then you're like, this may not affect me, but it will affect me if I don't play and get my money. So I think the money's going to talk.
Yeah, I think that right now they might not reflect the rest of the rank and file NBA players, but I do think they're on the right side of this issue in wanting to play. And that once you educate the rank and file on the severe economic impact, if there is no more product, no NBA playoffs, no more product this season, the economic impact, we've already heard from China, they're not going to broadcast NBA games in 2020. We've already heard that that's going to cost $300 to $500 million to the NBA. When you start talking about their television partners, ABC and ESPN here at home, and the economic impact of no future season, that Quinn Cook, a guy that's out of shape, guy that's making NBA minimum, guy that's making $2, $3, $4 million a year, eventually they're going to be educated to the fact that, hey, guys, we have to put some product out here. We have to be good to our television partners and to keep this business rolling. And so I think Chris Paul, LeBron, Giannis, and these guys are right. Maybe not everybody's on board with them right now, but I think once they're educated, Chris, I think they'll get on board.
And that's the thing. That's why this is so significant. Not that it's just a bunch of superstars took a conference call, but the fact that we all know, and, Marcellus hit it on the head. Like, they have tremendous sway. And so when they go back to the rank and file, to the majority of the players, and tell them, like, look, these are the reasons why we should be trying to get this season back on board, and explain it to them, even if you don't agree, it's going to be hard to go against LeBron. It's going to be hard to go against Giannis, Kawhi. And I heard Kawhi Leonard was one of the most vocal guys on that call. And so, that's why this holds tremendous sway. And it will go. They'll take this to Adam Silver, the things that they discuss in that call, and tell them, why they have them on board. And I expect it to be a ripple down effect in favor of playing from all across the board, from the league, ownership to the players. And when you got the main players on board, that battle is half over.
All right, another interesting wrinkle from yesterday. Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA, we learned that he asked for assurances from the players that, look, if some people do test positive, we can't just shut down the league again. There's no reason to restart this if a positive test 2 or 3 or 4 is going to shut this down. So the commissioner, NBA owners are going to be looking for assurances from the players that, look, we got to keep this thing rolling, even if there are a few guys that test positive. Marcellus, you're a former athlete. Let's start there. Is this a fair ask from the commissioner?
I think it is. I love the fact that in situations like this, you try to uncover every stone. You try to just dig into every single detail and scenario and just see how people are going to act. I think that's the appropriate approach in terms of what they're going to go through. We just saw it last weekend with the UFC, where one fighter tested positive right before the fight, then 2 members of his camp. But they continued forward and they plowed through that situation. It's a reality. And in that situation, there were only potentially 24 fighters, 1 tested positive. What's going to happen when you have 450 basketball players and then all that comes with them in terms of manpower? You just basically are going to have to say somebody's going to catch it, if not multiple people. What are we going to do in that situation? Let's not wait for that moment to occur and then try to figure it out. So this is the next 2 to 4 weeks, the month of May, time for them to go to the whiteboard, think through every single situation and see how their players are going to respond. I like that more so than getting to that situation and then try to figure it out.
Now, this is the part where it scares some of the players, because they some of them view, I'm not going to say all, but some of them view it as, well, some of us will have to be sacrificed for the greater good of the NBA resuming. And that's not exactly what Adam Silver is saying, but he's trying to say that, if there are positive test scores, if test scores, positive test results, I feel like I'm back in school, positive test results, then, we can't just fold the season like that. We have to continue. And right now they're trying to put all different types of parameters and protocols in place to, if a player is tested positive when the season does return, figure out what to do. Are we quarantining him? Are we removing him from the quarantine city altogether? And so these are the things that's being talked about. But this is a pandemic that none of us has ever been through, and that's why it's so scary for a lot of people involved, including the players. That kind of talk concerns a lot of them. But I think Adam Silver is trying to say, hey, it's not the end of the world, and it's not the end of someone's life if they do test positive. Let's figure out how do we handle it moving forward.
Look, I will hope I'm going to measure my words properly because I want to be fair to the players and I want to be fair to everyone. And I don't want to sound like I'm some tough guy. But listen, coal miners take risks virtually every day. And we know the health ramifications from going down in a mine, breathing that air. They do it to provide for their families. They don't make millions of dollars. Life comes with risk. Men and women have been taking risks to provide for their families for a long time. And so all I would say to the players is get into the data, do some independent research. Just don't turn on your television and be preached to. It's really hard. And I'm no expert, but I've been doing some reading. If you are under 50 and in good health, you've got a better chance of, falling off a cliff and being pushed over by a baby child falling off a cliff. There's any kind of calamities that could happen that are more likely than you dying from the coronavirus. And yes, perhaps you could catch it, pass it on to someone else. But I'll just again say there are risks in life. No risk, very little reward. So I would encourage the players to do some research and figure out just how at risk they are and then do a calculus on what risk are you worth taking. Maybe not everybody will want to do this, and some guys will pass, and that will be okay. I won't judge them harshly. I don't think any of us should judge them harshly. But when it comes to life, there are no guarantees. The only thing that really is guaranteed is death. And as it relates to the coronavirus, I think as we get more and more data, I think there has been a little bit of a overreaction and spreading of fear that's to a level where people are making unreasonable decisions. That's all I want to say before I get myself in trouble. Mark Schlereth is around the corner. Thank you, Chris, so much for joining us. Mark Schlereth is around the corner. We're going to talk some NFL with Stink. The Cowboys need to pay Dak Prescott immediately, according to Donovan McNabb. I'll tell you why I think McNabb is wrong. Speak for yourself from the crib. Presented by Hyundai. More after this. A healthy lifestyle should be easy, right? Eat veggies, drink green smoothies, exercise to get your heart rate up, and do yoga to bring your heart rate down. Woo! Maybe not so easy, but there is something that helps improve everything, and you can do it with your eyes closed. It's sleep. Sleep Number knows what it takes to sleep your best. The Sleep Number 360 smart bed lets you choose your ideal firmness, comfort, and support on each side, your Sleep Number setting. It's the perfect solution for couples. These beds are so smart, they respond to your every move and automatically adjust to keep you sleeping comfortably all night. Proven quality sleep is life-changing sleep. And now, for a limited time during the Memorial Day sale, save $1,000 on a new Sleep Number special edition smart bed, a queen, now only $1,799. You only find Sleep Number at Sleep Number stores or by visiting www.sleepnumber.com. Welcome back to Speak for Yourself from the crib. Jason Whitlock, Marcellus Wiley, Speak for Yourself, presented to you by Hyundai. Happy Wednesday. All right, time to roll out to Mark Schlereth's crib in Denver. Bring in Stink to talk some Dak Prescott, what we like to do on this show from time to time. All right, former NFL star quarterback Donovan McNabb has made an interesting comment about Dak Prescott and his contract situation, saying during a podcast interview, pay the man because I'm going to tell you one thing. When you franchise him and say he has half of Jameis Winston's season and y'all make it to the NFC Championship game or the second round of playoffs, and he passes for 5,000 yards, 35 touchdowns, and maybe about 12 to 13 picks, you know how much money he's going to ask for? You think it's a problem now? It's going to be a major problem if Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes sign their contracts. All right, Marcellus, you buying this logic? You agree with Donovan McNabb here?
I do. Look, be real about this. All things stay consistent. Dak's going to cost more, not less going forward. You talk about what he is as a quarterback, a lot of argument about well, is he a franchise quarterback? Is he just a game manager, glorified? Whatever you want to call it, he has numbers to support that he should be up there in the top tier in terms of payment. You know he has second most wins, tied with Russell Wilson since he got into the league, 2016. So you got to respect him as a winner and as a top-tier quarterback in that. Now, let's get into why he's going to get paid beyond him and his performance. It's the fact that a guy like Teddy Bridgewater, who has started 6 games in the last 3 years, just got a $21 million per year contract to go out there and be a full-time starter, which he hasn't been in the last 3 years. Let's talk about Jimmy G, who a couple of years ago we were like, what? After 7 games, he got $27 million, highest paid player in the NFL. And now we look at that contract like, oh, that's kind of a good discount for a franchise quarterback. So Dak Prescott, not only by his own performances and actually rising to the occasion last year and putting up career numbers, justifies that, but more so other people that he's going to stand on the shoulders of justifies him getting more money. So I'm with Donovan. I think he's going to get it.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Marcellus. I completely agree with Donovan McNabb. Right now, you're talking about $31,400,000, but 100% of that is going to count against your cap for one season. You can mitigate the amount of cap that you're using to if you get him a new contract. And I understand they've offered him a new contract, but I don't understand why they're so afraid to set the market, because as soon as you set the market, guess what? The market's going to, his contract will be usurped by Watson. It'll be usurped by Patrick Mahomes. So, like, one of the things about a franchise quarterback is you're going to set that market, and you've got to pay him, to me, more than Jared Goff, more than Carson Wentz, because from a Carson Wentz standpoint, he's more available than Carson Wentz. And as far as Jared Goff is concerned, he's got better numbers than Jared Goff. So you got to pay him more than that. You've got to deal with it, and you've got to set the market, because you know that market is only going to be set for a very short time. Maybe it's a week, maybe it's a month, maybe it's 6 months. But whatever it is, it's going to be usurped by the next guy that comes along. So I don't understand why they're shuffling their feet. And, oh, by the way, the last point I'll make is if he plays out on this franchise tag at $31 million and change, next year he's got a 20% increase. So it goes up to almost $38 million. And that's all of that money counts against that year's cap. So you got to get it done at some point. You got to just bite the bullet and understand that eventually it's going to look like a good deal. At first, you're going to have to set the market, though. Don't be afraid to set it.
I completely disagree with Donovan McNabb. I completely disagree with both of you all. The man described Dak having a good season and winning playoff games. Oh, my God, what a problem for Jerry Jones. That's not a problem. Jerry Jones would love for Dak Prescott to ball out, carry the Cowboys to the Super Bowl, win some playoff games, and be forced to pay Dak like he's a franchise quarterback. He would love that. But listening to Donovan McNabb and you all talk, this is like, once in my life, I outkicked my coverage, and I was dating a woman that was just way too good looking for me. And all of her friends knew it. And they say, girl, I can't believe you with him. What's going to happen if he loses weight and all of a sudden he starts trying to holler at other girls? Girl, if he loses weight, that's going to be a problem. And she looked at him and said, that's a damn good problem. That's the problem I want to have. I want this fool to lose some weight. Jerry Jones is sitting there. He wants Dak Prescott to ball out. And for Donovan McNabb to in any way, oh, my God, what if he has half the season Jameis Winston had? What the hell are you talking about? Jameis Winston just threw 30 interceptions and got let go for a 43-year-old legend. Donovan McNabb, I'm just telling you, Donovan McNabb used to be my favorite quarterback during his prime. The more he talks, the more I'm just like, man, Donovan McNabb, I just don't know. He doesn't make sense. Trust me, Jerry Jones would love to have the problem of Dak Prescott balling out. Force me to pay you $40 million. Force me to pay you $38 million. Yeah, that's a good problem to have.
Yeah, but what you're not recognizing is Dak has balled out. And Jerry is sitting there like, damn, if everybody was doing what Dak was doing last year, We would have been in the playoffs. We would have been winning some games. Dak had career numbers, so don't put this on Dak. Dak was lesser of a quarterback, and they won 13 games. So now you can't say when he's more of a quarterback that it's all on him, that they only won 8 games. You also have to respect the situation. And let's look at the Dallas Cowboys. Let's call them dead cap kings. You know what dead cap king means? That they can structure contracts, and they've been doing it in a way where it's team friendly and favorable for them. You can look at the contract of Tony Romo. You can look at the contract of Ezekiel Elliott. You can look at Amari Cooper. You can look at Dez Bryant, and all of them gave them quick outs. And Amari Cooper has an out at 2021 where they can say, hey, small dead cap number. They could do the same thing with Dak Prescott. What doesn't make sense to me, bringing up Jerry Jones, is the fact that he will let the face of his franchise, who did everything the right way, even at times it seemed like it wasn't even Dak's way. It was the Cowboy way. That guy is the one you want to drag through the mud, but you want to reward all the others, and some of them not even responding to the bell and putting up even better numbers once paid. Dak Prescott has earned this. He deserves this, and he's going to get it.
Yeah, I'm 100%. I mean, 100%. I'll tell you the other thing is, why would you want to pay Dak Prescott $40 million a year if he balls out of control if you can get him under at $34 million a year if you just get over the top of Goff and you just get over the top of Wentz? Why all of a sudden you're going to go, well, all he's done is played well. All he's done is been efficient. That's all he's done since the day he came in the league. So why would I want to spend $40 million on the guy if I can spend $34 million a year on the guy for the next 4 years and have him locked up playing at the same level? Like, I don't understand that logic.
Well, I'm going to explain it to you, because at no point has Dak Prescott made anybody think, oh, man, Dak might be as good as Patrick Mahomes. Oh, Dak might be as good as Deshaun Watson. Oh, Dak might be as good as Lamar Jackson. Oh, Dak might be as good as Russell Wilson. He's never done that. Dak has been efficient. That's all he's done, is been efficient. He's been okay. And so Dak literally wants $40 million. Jerry's like, no, we offered you around 33. Dak said no. Dak's out over his skis. He has a perception of himself, and I don't blame him. He probably listens to TV shows like this where we keep saying he balled out of control on an 8-8 team, which no one else has ever done that I'm aware of at the quarterback position in this league, where leading the league in passing yards, being the top, that usually means your team's behind and you're throwing the ball a bunch. Dak Prescott has been okay. Jerry Jones is trying to avoid making a monumental mistake and overpaying for a guy and having that guy walk into the locker room with a $40 million price tag on his head and having his teammates look at him with a side eye like, the same way, girl, I can't believe you dating him. Girl, Jerry, I can't believe you gave Dak all that money. He ain't even worth it.
Hey, wait.
We got to keep it moving.
Wait.
Mark Vancil. Yeah.
It doesn't work that way in the locker room. Look, if you really think Dak is kind of sorry and he got paid, you're actually congratulating him. You're like, you know what? If I'm better than you, guess what I'm going to get? No matter what position you play, you want sorry players to set the market because it makes it easier for the good players.
Not at that position.
Oh, man, every position.
We got to go. Mark Vancil, author of Michael Jordan books. He's going to join us. We're going to talk about, he's one of the stars of the Last Dance documentary. Mark Vancil from his crib. Speak for yourself, presented by Hyundai. More after this.
That's my dog.
Welcome back to Speak for Yourself from the crib. Jason Whitlock, Marcellus Wiley. Happy Wednesday. All right, we're going to keep the show rolling by rolling out to Chicago. And we're going to be joined by Mark Vancil, who's written a book in 1993 about Michael Jordan called Rare Air, has worked on a few other book projects related to Michael Jordan, and is now one of the stars of ESPN's wonderful Last Dance documentary. Mark, thank you for joining us. We're watching a documentary about Jordan, which leads to the obvious question, Mark. How do you think Michael Jordan wants to be remembered as an athlete and then also just as a man? How does he want to be remembered?
Well, I think you can see it. You can see from this documentary, which I think has been great for him. And it's not something, if you know Michael, he's not the kind of guy that would say, hey, I want to show everybody. I mean, this has been in the can for 20 years. The best way to answer this, I think, is I've had my kids watch this, because what it really is a display of and a definition, visual definition of excellence. This is what it takes. This is the different level of an icon is so far afield from a superstar, which is no slight on everybody else, down below, but he never mailed it in on any level. I remember we were in Utah, I think it was last year actually, in Chicago, and he had this routine at the same time every day. His suit, his shirt came up pressed, his pregame meal came up. He goes into the other room. He gets completely dressed, cufflinks, tie, everything. Guy looks immaculate, and the arena was effectively across the street from the hotel. And I said, well, why? You're just going to walk across the street and take all this off. And, what are you thinking? What's your thought around that? And he said, there might be somebody who's never seen Michael Jordan before, but they've read all this stuff about how great he is, and he does this and he does that. They deserve the whole show. And I just thought, that's a level of commitment that in all my years around professional sports, with few exceptions, I ever saw.
What do you think of the criticism that's been leveled at The Last Dance, Doc, particularly by legendary documentarian Ken Burns, that Michael Jordan too involved for it to be authentic?
I think that's rather ironic, because the way, think of it this way, and that's a great word, authentic. The entire show, and I call it a show, he didn't, but his entire life has been authentic. Just think of Nike. Nike has spent hundreds of millions of dollars trying to replicate Michael Jordan. The NBA, Larry Johnson, Anthony Hardaway, one after another, trying to replicate what this guy was and what he did. Nike, arguably one of the greatest marketing corporations in the world, has never been able to do it. Why is that? And I come back to, it's purely authentic. I mean, Michael he could talk to you about women's fashion on the other side of the world. He knows everything about the technology of the shoes. He approves still to this day each shoe that comes out and understands the creative process behind that. That's not a guy just going and picking up a check. That's a level of commitment that you saw in the way he played. And it's rare in the world we're living in now, in my opinion at least, to see somebody that has, that is that centered and that sure of himself and that confident, and never mailed it in, just never takes the time to blow anything off. And if there's nothing else that comes out of that, I think it's just been a fantastic look into the mentality of an icon, a true icon.
Mark, has the doc uncovered anything new for you, or is it all stuff that's in your book? Well,
the first book was in '93, and when I knew he was going to quit and go play baseball. And the last one we did was in '98, so I traveled with him that last season. It helped me understand how people say it was like traveling with the Beatles. It was just crazy. I mean, you had to have a secret password to get on the elevator in the hotel. Somebody was on the elevator and asked you where you were going, and then when you get out of the elevator, someone else took you to his room, and then a cop answered the door when you got there. And it was kind of like controlled chaos. And in that, he was able to perform. And the level of energy this guy had, there were a lot of professional athletes have extraordinary reserves in that way, but it was impressive to see.
Now, how big is the gap between what we're seeing in the documentary and what you really know about Michael Jordan?
Well, that's the thing. It's what I saw was it was authentic. There's not that big of a gap. There isn't a gap. Who you are seeing, you're seeing a 57-year-old version of him watching a 33-year-old version of him, or 34, 35, whatever he was at the time. And so that part of it is fascinating to me. I mean, he has the perspective of a guy who has played and is now out in the world. He has the perspective. He's a father again, has 2 little girls. He has, I thought it's interesting that none of these interviews are at his house. You're seeing Michael at other people's houses. I just think it's interesting that his perspective is one of a grown-up man. And I don't think there's a gap at all, Marcellus. I think it's what you see is what you get.
Now, Mike told you during the 92 Dream Team trip that he wanted to retire and play baseball. Did you believe him? And how hard was it for you to sit on that story?
Well, yeah, great question. So we were at the Dream Team practice, which was in Southern California, and it was the first real international, where you had huge amounts of international media, and the doors opened after the practice, and it was a flood of people. And I was out there to talk to him about the book we were doing, and we ended up going up into a stairwell where no one knew we were there. And I don't even know why I asked the question, but I said, "What are you going to do?" And Marcellus, from playing, I mean, his arms with the season over, it looked like somebody took their fingernails and just dug them into his arms. I mean, he was so beat up and tired. And he said, "Well, I'm going to shock the world." I said, "Oh, really? Again? What are you going to do?" And when he said, "I'm going to go play baseball," it didn't seem shocking to me. He was exhausted. And I always, refer to sort of our cultural tick, or our cultural Achilles heel, where, someone, we build up these people to a certain point, and then someone is the first guy to start taking shots, and then we spend twice as much time trying to tear him down. And that process had kind of started for him. And I think it just wore him out. And he told me that's what he was going to do. And I knew his relationship with his father. And if James was on board, then it seemed reasonable that he was going to do it. I really didn't think that far down the road to what it would actually look like, because, he was going to play the next season. And, as I said in the show, it was only because Bird and Magic hadn't won 3 in a row. So I sat on it because at that point we had evolved more into a friendship, and I had tremendous respect for him anyway. And, I wasn't writing for anybody, so I didn't feel like I was compromised.
Now, Mike's baseball efforts have been portrayed as a failure, but Jerry Reinsdorf said he would have made the majors. You believe that?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I believe Jerry Reinsdorf, but I believe Terry Francona, who said he would. The problem was, I think Michael was 31 at the time, and Terry said that, he'd need about 1,500 bats, which would mean a couple more years in the minors. And now he's a 33, 34-year-old guy, world-class athlete, of course. But I still think to this day it's the least appreciated, incredible story of a professional athlete in my lifetime. I mean, I shouldn't say at least appreciated, maybe not the most incredible, because Ali did some pretty incredible things. But I think it's just amazing what he did in the culture that we're in, that a guy would walk off at the top and risk, making a fool of himself.
Mark, my only slight disappointment so far with the documentary is I wanted to hear Michael talk more about his relationship with his father, but I think that Michael's kind of reluctant to go there because the media was very unfair during his death, and there was a lot of irresponsible speculation. Is that why we're not seeing more from Michael talking about his dad?
I think you're right, Jason. I think I think it's difficult for him, even to this day. And you saw a couple times where he kind of teared up. That was the kind of relationship with a father that you hope your children have with you if you're a father, or that you could have with your father. And it was built on a deep, deep trust. And James had, sort of an old school wisdom to him. And it was Michael's place to go. It was his safe place to go. And, I think you're right. I think it probably has more to do with Michael's emotion over the issue than it does with the pretty irresponsible reporting that was around that time.
You mentioned Michael's dad having an old soul, an old spirit, old school. That's what I see in Michael. Like, wow, he is really his father's son. And Wright Thompson wrote a story 7-8 years ago about Mike and his dad loving to watch Westerns. And it makes me think, like, when I think of Mike as an icon, I think John Wayne. And is that a fair description, that Michael Jordan is the John Wayne of sports?
It is, and I'll tell you a quick story. I see him as a spiritual being, and I know that sounds a little goofy, but I'll give you an example. The afternoon before he hits a shot to beat Utah in '98, I'm up in his suite. There's a bunch of people playing cards. There's always celebrities around, and I'm trying to finish this book, and I'd ask the same question about 20 different ways. 3 seconds to go, you're down by a point, timeout. First of all, it's incredible how often you get the ball in that situation, because if I was on it was all I wanted to do is make sure you didn't get it. But second, what are you thinking? Like, what are you thinking? What's the process? What's going through your mind on the bench? And finally, after I asked it about 10 more different ways, he moves up on the edge of the couch and looks me in the eye and says, "Are you asking me, am I thinking about missing the shot?" And I said, "Well, it's the kill or be killed moment. There's no, yeah." And he just looks at me and he slumps back and he says, "Well, why would I think of missing a shot I haven't taken yet?" And I just looked at him and said, "Well, that's why you're Michael Jordan. People go and sit in ashrams in India for 20 years trying to get to that level of presence. And he's never in the past, he's never in the future." And I think that is his true gift. And it's probably the same with other great athletes.
I mentioned John Wayne because I watched this documentary to watch how Mike's carried himself. And all I think is, like, there's an incredible amount of machismo on display. This is the most macho display we've seen in this modern American culture, where we're going the other direction. I think Mike's machismo is why no other athlete has been able to duplicate his brand and his level of popularity and fame and just be a product pitch man. He is the ultimate macho conqueror, warrior, whatever, and that's what separates him from the modern athletes of today.
I think you're right. And, there were two or three. I felt sorry for LaBradford Smith, on the story about that, where, poor kid. And how many guys, it's one thing in boxing or MMA where it's just mano a mano, but in a team sport, how many guys can tell you what they're going to do and then go out and do it? No matter how good you are, it may not be your night. But when he told a story like that, it was his night. And that to me was amazing, that he was able to back it up, even despite everybody knowing what he's trying to do and, in theory, trying to stop him from doing it.
Mark, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it. Look forward to the final 2 episodes this Sunday. All right, we're going to keep it rolling. TJ Houshmandzadeh's just around the corner. We're going to talk some more NFL. Oh, no, we're going to talk some more Mike Tyson with TJ, a huge boxing fan. Mike Tyson says he's back. Does anybody really want to see it? Speak for yourself from the crib, presented by Hyundai. More after this.
It's Darnell. That's my guy. My question of the day.
All right, welcome back to Speak for Yourself from the crib. Jason Whitlock, Marcellus Wiley. All right, let's bring in TJ Houshmandzadeh and Darnell Smith. Darnell, yesterday, Derek Brooks, a Hall of Fame football player, was asking about you. Where you been? Where's Darnell? Anyway, take it away, homeboy.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm big time now. But hey, man, let's talk to Mike Tyson, the former champ, AB 53. He has a lot of people thinking a comeback. Iron Mike recently said he wants to fight for charity and posted a pretty intense workout video yesterday. Check this out. What I ask you guys, do you want to see Tyson fight again?
No, unless they rename those mitts of Evander Holyfield and they start punching back, I ain't seen nothing impressive.
What? One, I saw a lot of things impressive. One, the dude was blurry, and that wasn't because they were fast forwarding it. It was in blur. He is quick as he was, man. I want to see that. Obviously, the Clipper shirt sold me. When you wear that Chip City, and you talking about you back. Yeah, you damn right you back. That's champ level right there. But more than that, man, let's just be real about our consumption in terms of what we watch. I've watched the senior PGA Tour before. I've watched some Masters tennis. I even love the parent relay when I go to track meets and watch the old people pull up their socks, put their headband on, and go get it. So I think it's going to be age appropriate. You're not going to expect to see the 20-year-old youngest heavyweight champion in the world go out there and go get it. But certainly Mike Tyson, put another pork chop in front of him, let him eat. I'd love to see that.
I'm with you with that one. You watch these clips, he looks pretty dangerous. Like, he looks real dangerous. And the thing is, who is he fighting? Mike Tyson is 53. I don't know how it feels to be 53 years old. I don't know how the body reacts. You know, people say this and that, but from what I've seen on that clip, I'm a lot younger than Tyson, and I'm not trying to get in the ring with him. I'm not taking those punches. So either you're a professional. Holyfield said he'd fight him again, and Holyfield is 57. So that's 4 years older than Tyson. And so the fascination of Mike Tyson will make people want to watch it and see how does he look just because of his iconic status in boxing. And those clips right there, nah, I'm not trying to get in the ring with him. To whoever does, good luck.
I enjoyed Mike Tyson in his prime, but post-prison, post-Evander Holyfield exposing him as a bully that couldn't take a punch and had to resort to biting and scratching and clawing, Mike Tyson got exposed. I'm over it. You know, show me a clip of Evander Holyfield. I'd rather see George Foreman than Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson got exposed, man, and it's not that I dislike Mike or whatever, but I'm just not impressed. You know what? Tonight, I'm gonna put on some gloves and I'm gonna do a little tape. Yeah, I'm gonna get blurry and see if Marcellus gets impressed.
I want to see Jason Whitlock and hit the mitts. Let me see that. Let me see how you look at that so I can get a comparison.
Hey, let me tell y'all this. This is a short story right here, man. I used to train at Wild Card Gym, Freddie Roach's gym, with Pacquiao and all those guys in there. I just wanted to work out. I just wanted to get the nice little lather. Don't touch me. I had a whole life of getting hit. I'm not in there to spar. But every single fighter would come in there talking noise like, Wiley, you can't come in here and box and never get hit. Finally, I found somebody I wanted to fight. It was this 60-year-old dude, this old little dude. We call him Triple OG. White guy, gold teeth, looked like he from the streets, straight up, and he was an amateur champion. So I'm looking at this old little dude like, me and him can go at it. Let me tell you what that old man did to me. I've never felt more hands in my world and faster than that moment in my life. And what I'm telling you that story for is because that ain't Mike Tyson. This is old man that was killing me, dog. Mike Tyson gets back in that ring. Don't compare him to the great and the height of Mike Tyson. Just another dude. He gonna kill him, man. He gonna kill him.
We gotta go. Uncle Jimmy's around the corner. Speak for yourself from the crib, presented by Hyundai. More after this.
Bang, bang.
Welcome back to Speak for Yourself from the crib. Jason, Whitlock, Marcellus Wiley. Happy Wednesday. Time to roll out to Uncle Jimmy's crib. Uncle Jimmy, I see you have some thoughts on Mike Tyson. You want to see Mike Tyson fight?
Hell no. Man, only way I want to see Mike Tyson fight is unless he gonna fight that lion from the movie The Hangover. That's the only way I want to see Mike Tyson fight again. Either way, he gonna leave the ring the same way, in a world of hurt. You understand? Look here, man, let me tell you something. Mike ain't changed as much as y'all think he has. I saw him when we was down in Vegas. He was talking to Evander Holyfield. Looked like he was chewing his other ear off. So on second thought, maybe I do want to see the fight. We ain't got nothing else to do. Why not? Sign me up.
Exotic Mike Tyson is what that would be called if he was fighting a tiger. Mike Tyson, the Tiger King. Anyway, Marcel's a little higher on Tyson. A little higher on his character than I am.
I'd love to see Mike go out there and do something. Uncle Jimmy and Mike.
My God. I'm going to see you tomorrow, the day before.